We'll see. We'll see, but always is a chance there, and we're here to make the best deals.
That's a great fight. You know, they're both pound-for-pound stars. They're both exceptional. It'd be interesting to see how the weight affects.
Picking apart, you know, he reads you. The motherfucker like a computer, he reads you, you know. I said nothing but love to Crawford, you know.
He's already moved up 3 weight classes, so now you're talking 6. If you add on 3. Crawford has the ability to slow things down in the ring that very few people have.
Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford have been on a collision course in recent weeks, given they are seen as 2 of the leading pound-for-pound fighters in the sport. Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is shaping up to be one of the biggest showdowns in boxing history. This is exciting news for boxing fans, as the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight is going to happen on Mexican Independence Day weekend. Mike Coppinger of ESPN broke the news on X. No signed contracts yet, but Canelo Alvarez, boxing's top star, and Terence Crawford are primed to meet on Mexican Independence Day weekend in September if all is finalized. And as Crawford said all along, it would take place at 168 pounds with no rehydration clause. Boxing journalist Rick Glazer has provided an update on a potential Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight, a match that has been teased for a while now. Glazer has revealed that Canelo is close to signing a 3-fight deal with Alalshi. He further added that a potential Canelo versus Crawford fight could take place in September, and Crawford has agreed to a no rehydration clause. Glazer wrote on X, Canelo is in the process of signing a 3-fight deal with Turki Alalshik, which will include a mega fight with Terence Crawford in September. It'll be by far the biggest fight in boxing this year. Nothing else compares. And smartly, Crawford has agreed to no rehydration clause. Earlier this weekend, Canelo Alvarez spoke to Matchroom Boxing at the Ring Awards about this fight with Terence Crawford. He indicated that there are chances of this fight, and he is looking for the best deal.
It's always is a chance there, right? We'll see, but always is a chance there, and we're here to make the best deals, and always a chance.
Callum Smith also shared his thoughts on the upcoming matchup between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He regarded it as an interesting fight and asserted that he is concerned to see how the weight affects this time. He commented on the legacy of both the fighters being pound-for-pound best fighters.
That's a great fight. You know, they're both pound-for-pound stars. They're both exceptional. It'd be interesting to see how the weight affects.
Chantel Chand also reflected on this fight. She pointed out the involvement of Turki Alalshik and recalled that Canelo was willing to fight with David Benavidez.
Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford might actually be happening, and I think this is one of the first things that we have to talk about, Brian, because it looks like Turk is obviously involved in this, and I know that Canelo Alvarez, you know, he was saying he wanted like 200 M's to fight David Benavidez, but it seems like he might actually be fighting Terence Crawford.
Chantel firmly believes that Terence Crawford would be moving up to 168 this time. She said, from my understanding, Terence Bud Crawford doesn't care about what weight class on, and he would be okay with moving up to 168 to take on Canelo Alvarez. While there are rumors going on of Canelo and Terence being agreed for the fight, Brian Fonseca went on to point out that there are no official announcements yet. He asserted that Turki Alalshik is trying his best to make this fight happen.
Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford reportedly agreed upon for September. Now, there's not a concrete date. There's not an official press release announcement, anything like that. So this is still just scuttlebutt. But Turk is trying to make this fight happen. Has been persistent in making this fight happen. Terence Crawford has seemed to want.
Brian recalled his meeting with Canelo before his fight with Jermell Charlo, and he asserted that Terence Crawford is willing to fight Canelo, but on the other hand, Canelo does not think this way. He said, Terence Crawford has seemed to want it, and I recall because I was in the room, there was a time where before the fight with Charlo, Canelo Alvarez was like, they're not going to give me credit for beating Terence Crawford, so I'm not too interested in that fight. Before this biggest showdown starts, Teddy Atlas has admired the exceptional abilities of Crawford. He thinks that Crawford possesses the abilities that no one else has.
If you add on 3, Crawford has the ability to slow things down in the ring that very few people have, and to see things that nobody else can see because he slows it down.
Teddy Atlas went on to count on Crawford, stating that he has great boxing features. He emphasized that his coaches always prepare him in the best way. He further added, he's got great power. He carried it up. Yeah. He's got good hand speed. Yeah, he's got all that. He's got good technique. His coaches do a tremendous job with him. His timing is impeccable. It's better than anyone else's. Why? Because of this. When a guy has that ingredient, and very, very few have, I can't count them out in anything. Atlas has now shared shared his take on the fight and surprisingly picked Bud to win. Speaking on the Fight with Teddy Atlas show, he said, "I think you know where I'm leaning. I'll make it even clearer when I'm leaning, so there isn't a lot of suspense. I ain't going against Crawford. I do think he's that special guy. I think Canelo's special too, but Crawford even more so. He hasn't learned how to lose yet. I think he does have those special ingredients that go beyond the physical, so that's it, okay? You don't like it? Too bad." Shakur Stevenson reiterated that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez when they fight in September on the Mexican Independence Day weekend, describing Crawford as unbelievable. Shakur says he's known that he could beat Canelo 62 2-2, 39 KOs since way back in 2021 after he beat Shakur Porter. He stated, "I think he's unbelievable. I'm this nice skills-wise because of Bud. I got better over the years, not just being in the ring with him, but being outside of the ring, watching his demeanor, watching what he does in his sparring, watching his training camp and how hard he trains. I feel skills pay the bills. He's not as little as people think. People think he's very small. He's not as small as people think. It's just that he looks like it. When you see him and he gets on the scale, you wouldn't believe that's his weight." IFL TV's Andrew McCart spoke with American sports writer Dan Rafael to talk about the potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He asserted that this is a fight that has been discussed a lot and Turki Alalshik is the one behind this. He recalled that Terence Crawford's last fight with Israel Madrimov was also made possible by Turki Alalshik's efforts.
I mean, it's not a secret that that's a fight that's been discussed by a lot of us and by a lot of people in the sport for quite a while. Certainly, it's a fight that Turki Al-Sheikh from Saudi Arabia has shown a lot of interest in. And of course, if it's going to get made, someone's going to have to put up a lot of guaranteed money. And he's probably the person that's going to do it. He's obviously been working closely with Terence Crawford. He was involved with Terence Crawford's last fight that took place in August when he fought Israel Madrimov. It's obviously a fight that Terence Crawford has been very vocal about wanting.
Dan Rafael thinks that while Canelo has not clearly stated about fighting with Crawford, he has not closed the door to it as well. Dan Rafael pointed out that this means he is interested and willing to fight against Crawford. He said, "Canelo hasn't ever said he wanted the fight. That has kind of downplayed it to a certain degree, but it wasn't that long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, he was doing an appearance and he was asked about it, and he didn't close the door on it in the past. He sort of closed the door on it like I'm that interested. So in my mind, that sort of at least cracked open the door to have the conversation. Like he wasn't just saying forget it in terms of working with Turki Alalshik or anybody else." Dan Rafael went on to admire Canelo in regards to his inclined attitude towards fighting for a big score. He asserted that Canelo looks for the fights that can give him a huge amount of money.
I think that Canelo is a smart person in terms of his boxing, but also in terms of his business. And when he looks around at the landscape and he wants to make a huge amount of money, like all top fighters or any fighter for that matter, and he looks and sees who can I fight where I can make the biggest score, you know, in a big time fight. And
trainer Greg Hackett responded to the rumors that unified super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez and WBA junior middleweight champion Terence Crawford have started negotiations. He went on to applaud both fighters but leaned towards Crawford. He asserted that Crawford has a great level of skills and he would not be beaten easily in this fight against Canelo.
A lot of people think Crawford will be beaten easy in that fight, but a man with that skill level, man, and has proven to us that he'll step up to the plate. Why wouldn't you want to see that? I want to see that fight. I think Canelo is a great fighter. I think Bud is a great fighter.
Greg Hackett criticized Canelo for not contributing sincerely to his attributes in the boxing game, whereas he thinks Crawford is on another level in his career. He said, "I think Canelo is on a decline as far as his attributes are concerned. Not so much his mind, but his body. He's not giving the same thing he was given some years back, you know? I mean, the energy level isn't the same, the intensity level isn't the same, but he's still nasty. He still has great skills." Crawford, on the other hand, you really can't tell where he is as far as his peak, you know? Greg Hackett emphasized that Crawford, despite being a 37, 38 years old guy, is moving up every day. He recalled that Crawford started at 135 lbs, and now he is fighting for 168 lbs, and that makes it interesting to watch him fighting.
It looked like he's still going up, you know what I mean? But he is, what, 37, 38 years old?
Yeah.
He's getting there, you know what I mean? So you can't really say with him, though. That's what makes it so interesting. And we have to remember this man started at 135 pounds, and we talking about this fight to be at 168. That's fucking crazy to still be on top of your game and to be at this level of boxing at this point in time in your career. Why not? Why wouldn't we want to see this fight? I don't even know who Skull is. I don't want to see that.
Teofimo Lopez thinks that Crawford is going to give Canelo a hard time in this fight. He reflected on Crawford's ability to throw strong combinations, and sometimes Crawford reaches an awkward point in throwing combinations.
I think Crawford's gonna give Canelo something to look at. You know what I'm saying? Definitely going to give him something to be aware of, because Crawford does throw combinations, and he does throw to the point where he tries to be awkward at the same time.
Teofimo Lopez emphasized on Canelo's ability to not get frustrated. He predicted that at the end, it would be Canelo winning the fight. He said, Canelo doesn't get frustrated so much like this, especially in the beginning of the rounds. He knows that people are going to start off strong. It's a great fight, and I think Canelo wins though in the end. Teofimo Lopez feels that he would help Canelo because he has got flat and he needs to get a little bit loose. He asserted that Canelo is agile and Crawford would take advantage of this.
I'm gonna help him because Canelo's been a little too flat. He needs to be more loose, and I'm gonna make sure that, like, pause, but I'm gonna make sure that he's really like more
agile.
Yeah, very agile,
Loose.
because that's really what's gonna throw off Crawford a lot. That head movement and peekabooing like this and stuff, really wanting Crawford to hit, because Crawford got to make a point and prove to everybody that why he fought out Canelo.
Teofimo Lopez went on to insist on helping Canelo no matter if he wanted to or not. He also asserted that Crawford has got a lot of ego. He said, Crawford has a lot of ego and a lot of pride, and you got to take advantage of that. I'm gonna help Canelo a lot, whether he wants to or not. I'm going right to it. Jose Benavidez Jr. picks Crawford over Canelo. He called Crawford a computer who has the ability to read his opponents.
I would. He's smart. He's a smart fighter. You know, everyone that he's been fighting, he's been picking apart. You know, he reads you. The motherfucker like a computer. He reads you. You know, I said nothing but love to Crawford. You know, he's a bad.
On the other hand, Jose Benavidez Sr. does not think the same. He asserted that Crawford cannot beat Canelo as he is smaller in terms of weight and fighting experience. He appreciated Crawford for picking up this fight against Canelo, but at the same time referred to him as a little guy.
No, I don't think that Crawford could beat Canelo. Crawford's a little guy. You know, he's at what, 154, 147, 154.
Last fight,
Canelo's
154.
at 168, man. Come on, bro. You know, my respects to Crawford. Hell of a fighter at his weight. It's like me trying to go to heavyweight, trying to fight Usyk right now. Come on, bro.
Jose Benavidez Sr. asserted that Canelo has made history with his fights. He thinks that he is not fighting for the belts, but for those who are still eager to earn more belts. He said, Canelo is a great fighter. He has proven himself a lot. He doesn't need these belts to keep fighting whoever he wants, but when you have those belts, you're going to have hungry fighters trying to fight for those belts. But he's either going to choose the young fighters that don't have experience or the old fighters. I think Canelo can fight. Jose Benavidez Sr. has named this fight as an exhibition fight on the part of Canelo. According to him, Canelo has got enough experience now, but if he is still fighting smaller guys, he is doing it to give them an opportunity. He added, he can do these exhibition fights and make even more money, you know. He doesn't need the bouts. He already has the name you know. He's already there. He's made his fights and his history, and he doesn't need the belts. He's just holding those belts hostage for other people to get an opportunity to do that. Sean Porter shows his concerns for Crawford fighting against Canelo. He pointed out that Canelo will get slow in the beginning, but then he will go fast and break Crawford down. He said, I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know. So I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he's still got that kind of steam. Eddie Hearn thinks that Crawford cannot beat Canelo. He asserted that he is moving up to 168 pounds so early. He also predicted that in this fight, Crawford would be moving a lot, and he takes it as the only way for Crawford. He noted that Crawford would be hugely outsized in this fight. He said, I don't think he can win. I mean, he might not be able to bridge it on, yeah. So one weight class, 68, yeah, but you're coming up from 35, 35, 40, 47, 54. Sooner or later, it's one too many, and 68 is definitely too many. But Crawford's brilliant. Like, he's a genius. He's a generational great. So maybe he can find a way to do it, but I feel he'd be be hugely outsized against Canelo. Crawford would be moving a lot in that fight. Trust me, I'm not saying he'd be running, but he would be moving a lot. Of course, that's the way to beat him. Sports consultant Johnny Ortiz analyzes a potential super middleweight championship mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He asserted that Canelo is naturally stronger than Crawford, and he does not see any way for Crawford to beat Canelo.
Canelo's naturally stronger, probably more explosive a little bit. Upper body movement. Crawford, to me, he can move around the ring. But he probably go to southpaw. It's just a tough situation. Crawford may be an inch taller, maybe a little bit more reach. Canelo just naturally stronger, and I just don't think. I don't see any way Crawford hurt Canelo. I just don't see it.
Johnny Ortiz stated the reasons why he favors Canelo over Crawford. He emphasized that favoring Crawford would not be fair, as he is not a good fit for moving up to 168 pounds yet. He said, Canelo is just too big, and everything is going in favoring Canelo, because everything got played in Canelo's hands. He's an aside. He's more into naturally being a 168 pounder. Terence Crawford having a jump up 2-3 weight classes is not a thing to favor. So that was all for today from Fight Chaos. Let us know your thoughts on this matchup between two of the best fighters. As the rumors swirl, what do you make of it? Will this fight be announced soon? And if so, who are you gonna favor in this fight? Click on the bell icon and subscribe for future updates.